Okay, welcome everybody to the 9th Kids Knowledge Seekers Workshop presented by the Keshe Foundation, and we'll be in touch with Mr. Keshe at the Spaceship Institute who will be showing us some of the wonders of the universe through the eyes of a child. And last week we discussed some interesting aspects of what kids might do in space for fun. And we hope to continue with that a little bit this week and see if we can get into that into a little more depth. And we have a new animation as well that we're showing on the live stream now. And we'll be asking Mr. Keshe if he can see his live stream there to comment on that as well. This is, we have a new animator for the Keshe animation team, and this is some of his work. So okay, we'll carry on. We've also got a couple of games I'd like to show and see what people think of the idea of non-violent games for kids. Okay, Kevin Devaney is the other co-host here, and we can hear a little bit of an introduction from him now. Kevin, are you there?
The thing is, you, as Rick said already, and also in the last workshop, talking about, you know, all those games filled with violence, aggression, killing. Is the future going to look like? Because Rick, you know, showed me one or two games which he created, teaching kids, you know, how not to kill and how to have empathy with one another, to nail it down to. So could you go? Yeah, that would really interest me, because you also talked about a lot of things, how people actually not going to use a parachute anymore because they're going to use some kind of positioning technology, because they can have the choice to be anywhere. So I would really appreciate that if you could go into depth what the future going to look like for, you know, kids, children, adults, teenagers, younger adults, in terms of games, fun, entertainment, pleasure. Thank you.
Good morning, good evening, hello to everyone. We are watching the video on the live stream as it's played. Can you explain to us what it is which you have put on, that we can enjoy to understand what it is?
Yes, okay. The video I have up now, it'll come up on the live stream in just a second here as an example, shows the inner core of basically a copper type reactor, and this reactor would have a center pin that would be nano-coated. That would be a copper oxide type nano-coated center pin. And what Jeff Reisner is the animator's name, what Jeff is trying to illustrate is the incoming and outgoing fields, the gravitational and magnetic fields at the center pin of this reactor. I'll start the animation here now for this particular one. It'll take a bit to come through. You can see on the live stream that the blue arrows show going the outward magnetic forces, and the red arrows show the inward gravitational forces. I believe that's the way it's illustrated. Showing fields. Sorry, go ahead.
We don't call it magnetic. It's a magnetical, which means from the interaction of two fields, like gravitational. When we talk about magnetic, it's just a field, but when we call magnetical, it's the repulsion fields. And that's what we call the blue fields. Magnetical and gravitational, so we understand it's from the interaction of two fields.
And can I get clear about the magnetical? Magnetical is different than magnetic. Magnetical is not the same as measuring a magnetic field. Like the magnetic field of the Earth is not the same as the magnetical field of the Earth, right?
No, Magnetical field and gravitational. That's what we call magravs. Magnetic gravitation comes from interaction of two dissimilar poles, which they get gravitated to each other. And magnetical is the interaction between two similar poles, which the effect is the fields of repulsion. So when we speak about the Earth atmosphere, it is the size of the Earth atmosphere is the balance fields between the gravitational and magnetical. It means what is pulling together between the magnetic central fields of the center of the Earth and what is the repulsion of the fields. So the balance between the two becomes what we call the mass, and the shape of it is the atmosphere of the Earth, of the planet.
Mr. Keshe, is there some way to measure those two fields individually, the magnetical and gravitational, or are we not really able to do that in science at this point?
Yes, this is what we're devising a system for it, because what you call every entity, even the weight of a child, or what you call it, the mass of a child, is the same throughout the universe. Doesn't matter wherever you are. If your mass is 20 kilograms, for example, doesn't matter if you're on the moon, if you're on Mars, if you're in another galaxy, you're still 20 kilograms, because this mass is dictated by the interaction or the balance between gravitational and the magnetical. And because gravitational field in the center are stronger, so always are more heavier. So when you take what is repulsion fields from what is attraction, this gives you the mass of the body. And then when your mass, which is itself gravitational magnetic field, is magnetically dependent, in interaction with the gravitational magnetic field of, let's say, the Earth, gives your weight. And then when you go on the scale, your weight is 35 kilo. Or your weight is 25 kilo, where your mass was 20 kilo. It all depends how the gravitational fields and magnetical fields of the environment interacts with the magnetical gravitational field of the mass of the person. So when you have a mass, you have a sphere around you, and whatever is in that sphere is independent of other fields in that environment, because now it's made its own cocoon, it's made its own nest. Whatever is in the nest is independent of what's outside the nest, and we call the weight of that nest the mass of the matter, the nest. And then when the fields of the nest interacts with the fields of the environment, then you find the weight, we call it, of the body. Mass is the balance fields internally inside. Weight is the balance field between the environment and what is created inside as the fields. That's why you weigh different on Earth and you weigh different on the moon. But your mass on the moon and the Earth is exactly the same. So this is how a lot of scientists could not understand. For the first time, we have explained in the books that in a simple way, your mass is the difference between your gravitational field minus your magnetical field. What is, because magnetical is in the center, is always much stronger, heavier than what is going out, so that gives you the mass. And mass is constant because that's your cocoon. What's inside the Earth belongs to Earth. We don't float in the space because the Earth cocoon keeps us. And the boundary where the gravitational magnetic fields become to balance, that becomes the upper atmosphere, becomes the atmosphere of the Earth, we call it. And that's the reason why, as we go further away from the surface of the Earth, our gravity reduces, because the gravitational fields are centered to the center, they're pulling together. Gravity means gravitation, gravitating, pulling together. So as you go further, there is less to pull, but there's more to push. And then where the magnetical and gravitational field find balance, that's what we call the upper atmosphere. That's the boundary of this planet. In respect to the fields internally it has created, and the size of it, how much it expands, is very much dictated by the gravitational magnetic field of the plasma of the sun. So that's where the difference comes. And magnetical is repulsion, means interaction of two fields, and gravitational means coming together, gravitating together, and that becomes again from two magnetic fields. The principle is that in the center of, let's say, the Earth, all the magnetic fields are not going in one direction. It's layers of magnetic materials which create their own fields. And in this layer, it's like little footballs. And each football is like being in a trombola. One is up, one is north, one is south, the other one inside is the north inside. When the fields which are similar in one layer to another, they gravitate, so they create a pull. And when at the same time other ball is in the north and the other one is south and the other one is north, so they repulse each other and they create a magnetical field. And this is what is interesting to understand. We never understood before that the actual mass is the difference between magnetical and gravitational fields. And it's always constant, because what's in the container is in the container, you cannot change it.
And would the animation be fairly accurate in the way it represents
it is fairly accurate.
And
yeah, but
there was some discussion about the shape of the plasma. Would it be spherical with the center electrode
it is
like
more
that?
spherical. Yes, it's much more spherical.
Or maybe a toroid kind of shape, a donut?
It is more or less spherical, because you have a rotation which increases at the equator, and then you have the compression of the plasma on two north poles and south pole, which pushes it down. So in a way it's a flatter, not so spherical, but is not flat. In the big gaseous planets like Saturn, we see a flat top, because that's where the central pull pulls together due to rotation. The size of the sphere, or the diameter of the sphere at the equator, is literally dictated by the magnetical gravitational and interaction of the inertia, which is the atomic mass of the material in the structure. That's why you get a equator line. That's why you get a bigger line in the middle, because mass in a way sits to the center and the inertia interacts as well. So when the inertia interacts with gravitational magnetic field of the entity, it gets pulled in, so you get a more flatter caps on the top and the bottom. It's the inertia pull of the entity. There is a difference between the inertia and gravity, or what you call magrav.
Would that be related to the speed of the reactor as well, or more to the density of the materials inside?
It's more to do with the density impartially and rotational speed as well, because it becomes centrifuge. It's like me putting a child, holding a child's hand and running around or rotating around the axis of my legs.
So the faster it spins, the more it would have that Saturn ring type effect to it? Is that true?
In so many ways, Saturn rings are created in a totally different formation.
But wouldn't that Saturn ring type force be what is measured by the BZ axis on your sensor?
It is mainly to do with a Z, but in our cores we have created this. The present core you see is half beast, half man. What this means is that we are following a planetary and a solar system, or a sun. In a planetary, you have solid layers, and in the sun or plasma of the suns, you have layers of plasma of different strength. You don't have a solid part in the middle. But in our reactors, we have put a solid piece in to be able to centralize the field forces. If you can produce fields which can be centralized and stable, then you take the center pin on, then we have a mono plasma system. At the moment, we have not achieved that. One person has achieved it up to now is Vince. And then the next step is how we can achieve that, and we are heading to that direction in the lab.
There's another little video I could show that Ad did when we were talking, when your son was showing his sphere with the magnet in it, the clear sphere I think it was, with the magnet inside, and Ad made up 3 clear spheres with magnets inside, and it's just coming up on the live stream there now, and you can see the 3 spheres. I'll just play the movie, and you can see the interaction of the spheres with the magnets. Okay, he's introducing a 3rd sphere with a magnet. Oops, there we go. Let's just get it started properly. There we go. Okay, so he's introducing the sphere with a magnet, and you can see how it influences the other magnets in the other spheres.
Where is your spheres? The balls you had on a pin.
So I thought that was quite interesting. It just illustrates the interaction of these. Well, these are crude magnetic fields. It's not the magnetical-gravitational field, but it does illustrate.
Actually, it is both gravitational and magnetical.
Okay, good point. Yes, that's right.
If you look, the one he's rotating with his fingers on the top, one side is north and one side is south, or one side is entry and one side is exit. So it creates entry with one magnet, and exit with the one, or what you call south and north and north. And the motion is due to magnetic field interaction. In this simple, very, very simple demonstration shows how we do not need motors and engines anymore. Once we understand the behavior of plasma and the way we just seen in this video, we do not see any fuel burned. And that's how the motion is created in the universe. And this is what is very interesting for youngsters to see and understand. As we say, instead of these magnets, we have created a plasma which behaves the same 3-dimensionally. And so, as we have other reactors in the lab, we have come to the point of maturity in science that we do not need to burn fuel to achieve motion. And now, instead of the finger which is twisting the magnets, when you play with the plasma, plasma itself rotates. Dynamic, it's a dynamic entity. So Ah,
didn't get that question on the live stream. Let me get that a little better. How is it that the plasma is self-rotating? We see that this sphere is rotated by a human hand.
Yeah.
And how
This
can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, this is what we were going to discuss tomorrow, because these are some of the things which
Oh, we lost the sound there. Okay, we just lost the sound.
Go into the depth about these things, because we spoke about it with the knowledge seekers here this week. One of the only reason that the plasma rotates independently is that even regarding to Earth or regarding to the Sun, that we rotate at 1,600 and something kilometers an hour, that the total rotational distance per 24 hours, if you multiply 24 by 1.6 thousand kilometer, is 40,000 kilometers a day, which is the full circle around the Earth, which is 1 day, we know it as. These motions of entities, we don't have a motor to rotate the Earth. What happened? As gravitational and magnetic fields in the planet are created by matters and fields, as gravity pulls in, the magnetical field pushes out, this creates a heartbeat. But as the structure of the planet is not mono material, is a mixture of different fields, one place, like exactly as you've just seen, if you bring that picture back where you rotate the magnet on the top, one side is not stronger one layer than the others, so the field is going to follow. Can you show the picture again? You see, that's how magnetic fields come together and then they go in. But if you show, yes, just show the rotation of the magnets. If you can have this for tomorrow's teaching, we'll talk about it. So what happened? In fact, inside the plasma, one field in one corner is not as strong as the other, and the other sides to catch up, to link up, to reach the stronger. By then the stronger has moved. And this pulsation and the difference in gravitational magnetic field in different layers that they're trying to catch up with each other creates the rotational motion of the plasma. So the rotational motion of a plasma is due to gradients in different layers of material inside the plasma, and the pulsation as the mass inside stays the same, but the fields change. And in so many ways, over millions of years, a mass changes, because mass is made of fields and the fields radiate outside. If the field radiated outside is more than what comes in, so you reduce in mass. So the natural process of the rotation of the plasma comes from the difference in the gradient of the magnetic field inside, plus that's in layers, plus the magnetic gravitational fields and magnetical gravitational fields, which one is trying to catch up with the other one, so it creates a pulse and a rotation at the same time. If man stands far enough from the Earth, they will see that our Earth has a heartbeat too. If we go to Sun has a heartbeat too. If this heartbeat, what we call the magnetical field beat, is not there, then it's not a planet, it's not a living entity. And that's how the motion is created. In one way, if I can show it in the video by hand, it's, let me see, we can get it on the, can we go on the Skype? Okay. Okay, we try to open the camera. Can you see the camera? Can you see my hand?
I can see it here, Rick. Are you okay?
Yeah. So if you take the fingers as magnetic and gravitational fields, and the center, I try to show you. What happens? It beats. The beating goes like this, but at the same time there is a motion due to the field. So in a way, you create a motion by beating, and this beating pulls and pushes the matter which is inside the planet, and this push and pull creates another field difference between different materials, and as the fields try to catch up, it creates a heartbeat and a rotation. And that's how the rotation of the plasma is created. It's a natural process. The reason for it being the beat comes is different fields of different strength as they radiate out, they create different layers of plasma strength inside the plasma. So this is how the sun does. So the field strength and change and non-unity of the field strength creates a beat, magnetical beat, and then as they're trying to catch up, as you've seen in the video, the one magnet is trying to catch up with the other one, so it twists, and by the time it's passed, it comes around again, it tries to catch up. What you show in that video is actually the, what you call, the magnetical field of the plasma. And that's the heartbeat of it. This is what you call the rotation of plasma, but you don't have the beat of the plasma.
I think that's a good cue for Vince to show his movie that he was showing us just before the workshop.
Yeah, but Marco was just saying that. Yeah, Marco was just saying you can show that.
Okay, let me see if I can start it. Just one sec here, okay, Rick?
Okay. Not up there. You understand? Somebody
Okay, tell me when you can see it, Rick.
The field here, in this case, comes in this.
Okay. Can you see it, Mr.
This is
Keshe?
the atmosphere, which means the field.
Okay, I'll play it.
Okay, we're looking good here.
Okay. We're looking. I've seen this video before. We are waiting.
I've seen it. It's just so
It's a little hard to see because the resolution isn't as good as it was before.
Can you explain to us what this is?
Yeah, go ahead.
So what I have is on the left-hand side in the bucket is the CO2 GaNs from a zinc nano-coated and zinc uncoated cells. It's been in that bucket for roughly 6 months, just under water that's washed. The one on the right in the glass round container is the AL GaNs, or the nano-coated copper and aluminum not coated cell. And it is not washed. That is salt water that's in that one. And so what we're looking at in the bucket is a top rotation of the fats, or the amino acid that is on the top of the bucket, which I haven't seen before making this video. But what it looks like to be doing is, from a shaking, that's what the initial beginning of the picture is I have shaken it, and this is just settling out. The pictures are taken every 1 minute over the course of about 6 hours. And the top of the amino acids are rotating. It initially starts out
You're
as
breaking up. I think you better switch your video off because you're breaking up.
Okay.
Must interfere at the other end there.
Yeah, I'll just stop my sharing so that it's not so bandwidth heavy on the Spaceship Institute. Is that better, Mr. Keshe?
Yeah, we can hear you now. It's a beautiful
Okay.
picture. What I'm going to do, we try to set something to show the same thing with the dynamic magnetic fields of our plasma. This is, we did this about 4 years ago, 4 years ago. And it was the only way we could see the field, dynamic fields. Now, as I always said, when you start, we start. So we're going to show you, we most probably video it this week, and we're going to show it. We have plenty of gases that we can mix because we've seen the magnetic channels. And now we can show, by putting same kind of
There's another
container.
important piece, Mr. Keshe, that I wanted to
Yeah,
just let you know about with
just
this.
tell us. Yeah.
Is that when I initially shook it and it started to rotate on the top of the amino acids, it was rotating in one big galaxy kind of formation. But as the time went on, we seen it get faster and faster and smaller on one side of the container. And then it split into two, and the other one rotated in the opposite direction.
Mm-hmm.
So that I just wanted to see, because that's a confirmation on what you've said about the universe as well, where our universe came from another universe and has a sister universe. So
This is the division of a neutron.
division,
This is something
exactly.
we're going to speak tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly.
It's on the list to speak tomorrow. That's how neutron divide.
But I don't want to take
And
too much time at the kids' workshop.
Yeah, but the kids have to see to understand that it's not a talk. They can see the motion out of without the. You showed it with the magnets. Now you show it in the liquid state, which is the human body itself.
Yeah,
But
JF
with
has a really nice demonstration too. I don't have the links offhand here. If someone could post that in the Skype, I could put that up as well. I would have to find them. He has some time-lapse pictures that of a very similar effect of the spinning of this upper surface of the fluid. Very interesting.
maybe we can show something if we can bring the live stream on, that the children see for the first time. We have shown. If you can go on a live stream where we are on the, what do you call it, on the lab.
Sure.
Where, if you can put it up and then I explain it. This is very interesting. And this is the most significant work which the foundation has done up to now. If the world of science understand, and it changed the future of the humanity, but it's good for the children to see how their life has changed and how this technology, as of more or less today, or what we've shown since yesterday, confirms the major breakthrough in the world of motion. I'm just waiting for you to put the link up that we can see it.
It's up there now. It'll be coming through in your live stream right away.
Live stream. We are on the live stream. We are on the live stream. Okay, it's coming up. We see a sun. No, we need our live stream. We haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, I might just need to refresh because it's up there for me. Just refresh your screen.
Okay. See, he's clicking on. We see the clicks now. Okay, it's coming up. If you can go up, please, that we can see the red arrow. The red arrow. We want to see the red arrow. Close up to the red arrow, please. If you close up to that red pipe on the thing. If you, no, down, no, not on the rope, at the bottom.
On the right side, Rick.
Blue, on the right side, in the bottom plate, where the 3 reactors are sitting. If you can close up, we show you. Okay. What is important, we have shown for the first time that position in respect to the Earth can be found without burning the fuel. This to us, we've been looking at it for past 24 hours, 48 hours. He started somewhere above the blue tag. And today we put a marker on it. That's where the red pipe is, you see. And we have descended by about 2 centimeters without burning any fuel. And as before we saw the kilogram changes, now it's the first time we see positioning. This was what we set out to do, and in a way we have proven in a very simple way, and it's nice to show it for the first time on the children's channel of the programs of the foundation, because this will touch every life of every human being on this planet from now on. You see 3 very small, 4 very little reactors are working. And the red arrow, after we left it for 24 hours to call it like a stable, was at the blue distance at 27, and now 29.5, and now it's at 27. So we are descending towards to the ground, and this is without burning any fuel. This is what we said a couple of weeks ago, that motion and position can be achieved without burning of any fuel and without destroying anything. And now this physically shows it. It is this 2 centimeter or so change is for nearly 11.5 kilogram weight. It's not a feather that we moved. And this is significant. This is a major breakthrough. Is distanced from the Earth. There are no levitation. This is a pure magnetic gravitational positioning of the whole structure in respect to the Earth. Now we have shown it's possible. This position can be reached, and we have shown with the field detectors that the field is not that big. So this changes. Literally, this picture shows the change in the course of humanity. And this will benefit every child on this planet. There will be no burning of the fuel to create CO2. There will be no damaging of the environment, that what we've done and your forefathers have done by adding CO2s and changing the climate from today, and the expansion of this knowledge in coming weeks and months. This is what we say goodbye to fossil fuel. We do not need to burn to obtain and attain position. And in the coming time, the system, and we have shown, can produce its own energy. So it's a self-sufficient, very much what you saw as a clear ball with 3 magnets in it, and then the 4th magnet coming inside. This is the real operation of it, not as a toy, but what the big boys play with. And you saw those 3 see-through balls with a magnet in it. These are 3 copper cores with materials in it, which is a plasma. And if you can see the difference, there is the 4th one, which the gentleman brought down, and you saw it rotating, is rotating on the top. So what you saw as toys, this is the reality, and it has changed your life. We have come down 2 centimeters roughly, but originally from yesterday we have come down nearly 5 centimeters. There is no burning of the fuel. We are changing position by changing magnetic field in a very slow pace. And we will see if we go back up again, because we've seen increase and decrease in the mass before. So in so many ways, this is a historical picture. And for time to come, this is like the first time, as I said, Bell spoke on the telephone line, or Edison showed the first light. This is as important as when the man landed on the moon, if for those who understand what this means. Because now you do not, from now on, your generation does not need to burn fuel to go up in the air. You just create magnetic fields. And you create a plasma. And that's all it is. 4 tiny little plasmas weight less than, most probably less than 5 grams of fuel, which is not burning, it's just sharing its fields, have managed to move 13 kilo or 11 kilogram, about 2 centimeters from the data from this afternoon, about 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. So we wait to show that this is not the levitation, but is magnetical-gravitational positioning. And this is one of the most historical pictures you ever see in your life if you understand it. This little picture, that little reactor you see in front of you rotating, has changed your life and the life of the man on this planet. We have achieved positioning without burning, and then we can extend this to a knowledge that you can fly anywhere around the earth without burning any fuel by positioning yourself. Any other question or anything you want to discuss?
So I'll try to go faster on my building of my reactors then.
Now we have shown it is done. The taboo in positioning has broken, because this is a live video and it can be recorded and it can be seen.
This is the really interesting thing, because last night during the plasma group meeting, I had found another piece of tubing that fits over my legs very good. And I was considering using a sliding system to be able to position that top reactor wherever I want in a certain measurement. So I think I will shoot for that goal now, so I can dynamically change the position of that center top reactor.
You see, the way we have set the reactor here, we can adjust the height of it. It's been brought out to the lower level. We can just release the nuts and push the reactor further up the position. But the whole purpose was to keep it as close as possible to the ground level. And it seems to be working. We'll test it later on. We'll move the reactor number, the principal reactor on the top, further up to see if the positioning will make that difference. But I think it'll be more, it's about the right place. Maybe we have to move it a little bit. But if you look at the field monitors, are very, very, very low. The field monitors are about 14 millitesla. Yeah. And so we see the system is active, and this is a major, major breakthrough in the world of science. Cannot be denied. It's there. It's been live programmed, and we watch it next few days, and it can be seen. It's an open space that everybody can see. There is nobody. There is, as we say, there is no mouse hanging off the board in the background. The system is going down, and then you most probably see it will go up too, because it's the characteristics of it. Depends what they feel, balance they find. It's a very, very interesting position. This, if you take pictures of this in the future, you will understand how significant this is.
Mr. Keshe, you know, people have been talking for decades about anti-gravity, and I've learned from you that this is total nonsense. Maybe we should, or you could, maybe with a short explanation, explain why this term anti-gravity is not correct.
Anti-gravity is not correct because man did not understand that the gravity is made of the same fields as magnetical field of the planet is made of. The anti-gravity does not exist. The word is even should not be in the vocabulary of the man. Mm. You create a gravity in one object, and the other object creates its own gravity. And when they find balance between the magnetical and gravitational field of the both objects, then this is where you're going to be positioned. So Earth is constantly positioned in respect to the sun in a given position due to the balance of these fields. But in this system now, we have the possibilities and control to change the fields. So let's say one day we are the moon in respect to the Earth, and we change the fields. Tomorrow we are Saturn in respect to the Earth. We stand further or we come closer. And now we see the operation of the magnetical and gravitational field. In a way, if anti-gravity was correct, what we call the tides of the oceans will be anti-gravity system and gravity system in respect to the Earth. But in fact, the gravitational magnetic field of the moon in certain times in respect to the sun, in respect to the rotational field of the Earth and the position of the Earth in the solar system, is less interfered by the sun. So the fields of the Earth are much freer to interact, so we get a high tide and a low tide. It's not that the fields of the Earth are anti-gravity in respect to the moon, it's just that the magnetical gravitational field of the sun is less in given time positions in respect to two entities of the moon and the sun. So we call it the high tide and low tide. So we call it magnetic anti-gravity and gravity. Let's call the high tide gravity and low tide anti-gravity. That's all it is. It does not exist. It doesn't make sense. So anti-gravity is a terminology because man didn't understand. Now we understand is magnetical gravitational positioning. So anybody who speaks about anti-gravity system is what we call the old people. Even we are old. So Armin is looking at me, says, I'm not old. He's very young at heart. So this is what it is. The word anti-gravity doesn't exist. It's gravitational magnetic positioning. If you increase the gravity of your system, magnetical, you get attracted. And if you decrease it, you get repulsed through the magnetical field. There's a lot of rewriting of the history of man's science from now on.
I think that is a similar concept to what we were going to discuss at the first of this workshop, which was the gaming and kids' games and so on, and how it...
Have you seen our games? Our games, this is the toy of adults, you see.
Yes,
we
right.
are three of us, we are playing with, this is our toy.
Absolutely. It's when you're small, you have what was called a top. Remember the tops? You push down on the top of the top, and it would spin on in a very similar way. So this is you get to play with the same toys you had as a child, only a little better.
Yeah, this is very, very, very interesting.
But the idea that you brought up of this concept of anti-gravity, which is incorrect, is similar. I'm making an analogy with the kids' games of today, that instead of a positive positioning inside the game, you might say, in the space of the game, the kids are more in a mindset of anti. In other words, they're against all the other entities in the game. They're busy trying to shoot them, to kill them, to get rid of them from their space. It's all anti, 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 as opposed to learning to coexist in that space, even with some of these badder entities, let's say. But it's a different mindset, where you just avoid those entities rather than conflicting with them and trying to eliminate them. So it's...
Let me explain something very interesting, which in the long term man has to face, especially the youngsters. People do not understand what the killing means. And that's why it's become fashionable. When you kill a man, you take life or breathing away from him. But you do not take the essence of the creation, which is his cells. And then what happens? You put a man, you bury the man. What happens? The cells evolve and they get eaten by worms, by other animals. The worms get eaten by, let's say, the birds. And part of the nourishment of the body of the man becomes vegetation, which grows above because the root reaches the man. The question to kill is very simple. Would you like to eat another man? Because you eat the food which grows out of it. Would you like to eat the bird, which is eating the worm, which is eating the man? If human race understands this, we'll never touch a gun. Because when you kill a man, you don't throw it in the space and goes away. It becomes part of the structure that it gets eaten by you or your future generation. Would you like to eat another man? Why don't you eat it when it's alive, then killing it and eat it later on? This has to come home to humanity. It's delay time, but at the end it becomes part of you. This is what has not been understood, that the wars gives nothing but you eating the man you have killed. Go back to the beginning of the time, eat your partner, or eat your friend. Why do you kill a man that you have to eat it later on? So you carry your own crime with you and in your future generation. Because what you have put down and you eaten, you have to carry the burden of his soul too. And this is what people don't understand. And this is if people who create these games understand themselves, they never make these games. It's become fashionable. Because actually it's become fashionable only because it suits the people who make guns, that they can justify in the future the boy who kills on the computer game to kills on the field. And we've seen how this has translated in past few months from the top boys playing games, killing games on the streets of London, Paris, New York, Washington, anywhere in the world. Now they are flying in all sorts of forms to see if they can do it in real in Syria and Iraq. All these boys, you look at them, they're all computer game players. Now they want to go to the field of reality. And what comes back from them is a coffin.
They've even modified the controls of the weapons to be similar to the gaming controls.
Exactly. So the burden of the killing of youngsters goes back to the man who orders the guns to be manufactured. It's going to be a horrible time for those who are in this, even the game plays. Because the people who manufacture these gun games and shooting games, they are, and now they have become part of the criminal scene. And their souls have to pay for their work. This is very deep. If you go and look into it, you want to open it for children, you want to have a normal soul operation and live a normal life, it has to become habitual not to touch, because then even by picture killing, then it becomes a man killing because of normality. And that's what they are trying to do. Violence to become a normality. I think the way they have banned sex movies and children cannot watch pornography, there should be nowhere on this planet one can buy a single game which has guns in it or shoots. I think the biggest mistake has been for Disney. Nobody has followed him. And if we would have followed the way he made cartoons, it was all pleasure and no fight. Even you never see anybody being killed in cartoons of Disney when he was in charge. They used it to abuse it, so we'll see what happens. What I said to somebody recently is, start going and find out what happens to the game makers. Paris, Tokyo, South Korea, now there are people making games. The history of the life of these game makers who make all these battlefields and gunfields. You see what a horrible life they live. Because now they become part of the criminality. Any other things we can, or we have had our time for today?
Yeah, we're up to almost an hour here, so we probably should end it for today. Maybe we can get into that topic a little more in the next workshop in the terms of gaming and so on. I can illustrate with a couple of games and so on.
So,
That was quite interesting. Is there anything else we should announce or talk about before we end the
now, really,
workshop?
we'll see you tomorrow morning. The thing is, we are nearing Christmas, so most probably the second week of, or third week of December, and the first 2 weeks of January, we will not have a workshop because the children are all on the holidays and God knows where they are. And we would like to be a child too.
Right. Okay, that sounds good.
We'll see you
We'll
tomorrow
make an
morning.
announcement for that. Yes, thank you, Mr.
Okay.
Keshe.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very
Yeah.
much. Bye-bye.
That's good.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, so that's the end of the 9th Kids Knowledge Seekers Workshop. And once again, I thank everyone for attending. Thank you, Kevin, for helping organize, and of course, for Mr. Keshe for all the information he gives us. Okay.
Sure.
Okay.
All right.
Bye, everyone.